Joy News, we are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Welcome to JoyNews Prime with me, Carlos Caloni. Coming up, some residents in Boko incensed about NCA's closure of 4 radio stations over inflammable utterances that the authority considers as contributory factors to the conflict in the area. We'll hear from owners of one of the radio stations who says the NCA has not been fair to them. Also, John Mahama chastises government for the slow pace of development in the newly created regions, but promises to change the order should he become president of the country after the December polls. Also, IMF charges government to stick to program conditions and reforms to aid in quick recovery of economy. We have details of these stories and many more coming up. Please stay. Thank you so much for choosing us. And let's begin from Boko, where some residents in that area are incensed over the National Communication Authority's closure of 4 radio stations in the area. The closure, according to the NCA, is as a result of what it describes as incendiary utterance that it believes contributed to the ongoing Boko conflict. The NCA, in a statement dated February 24, 2024, says the action is based on Section 13(1)(e) of the Electronic Communications Act, which empowers the authority to revoke the licenses of stations on the grounds of national security threat or in the interest of the public. The NCA's action have, however, not sat well with some residents. Let's listen to the reaction of some of the residents in this particular video.
MCA have something, every station have something we call Skylight, that they can sit wherever they are to monitor the radio station, their programs, and whatever they are doing. So they could have get people to monitor this radio station, get to know the corporate, and then sanction them accordingly. But if you wait, and now that 2 to 3 months now, we have not recorded any violence in the Boko enclaves, and you are closing radio stations in Boko because of the conflict in Boko. What about Wale Wale? What is happening there? Yesterday, as I speak, a car was attacked in Wale Wale, and people were injured badly. Wale Wale is now becoming more crime scene than Boko, but nothing, no curfew, no arrests have been happening there. But if it is because of the Boko conflict that NCA is closing it, I thank them for that. But they have to also know that there are some other things they have to do. Facebook is one of the dangerous tools that has escalated the Boko conflict up to this point. We're having Facebook account, Sibdo account called the Moshinaba, the Boko links, who have caused more violence, who have caused a lot of life that have lost in Boko. They will post your picture, next 2-3 days you are killed. They will post your picture, next 3-5 days you are killed, turning people to motherless, turning people to fatherless, and yet they cannot investigate and arrest these Sibdo accounts, but they are rather closing radio station. Right now, some people during curfew hours can even besiege a community and kill 3, 4, 5. About last year, some people besieged a community called Barbary and killed 8 individuals at a go. Some went to an area and killed innocent women during curfew hours. And because we have radio station, if something like that is happening and we speak or we talk through the radio, it will create attention. Everybody will be aware. The military will run and go. But now we are doomed, like a blind man pulling a blind man. So in Boko here, we are doomed.
What we are seeing is that there have been an ongoing attack at the Wale Wale too, where buses are constantly being attacked at Wale Wale. As we speak, yesterday there was an attack at Wale Wale, a bus at Wale Wale. These constant attacks, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. But rather,
the general manager, Guma FM, Nuruddin Guma, felt the NCA did not treat them fairly at all. He spoke to me on Joy Newsroom this afternoon.
Nobody has ever engaged us. RECSEC have not engaged us. NCA have not engaged us. National security have not engaged us. We were just sitting. They just stormed the radio stations with military men, and they threw a letter to you. Say, read the letter. You read the letter. It's about they are suspending your authorization. The next moment, They are I've heard that other radio stations, they are pick away transmitters. Because Guma FM, we are off air. Our transmitter is in Accra for repairs. Over the past 3 months, we have not been transmitting. But I heard reports that they picked transmitters in other radio stations. For example, Boku FM. When they got there, the guy who was on duty is a relatively very young person. As we speak up to now, the boy is very scared. Because you are in a radio station, before you realize, about 30 policemen will storm into your studios and start loosening your machines. Without any, they haven't been really very fair to us. Okay. And apart from that, the statement NCA issued out, if it is really true, it is about national security threat. They should know that the conflict in Boku is not just within the Boku municipality. The conflict in Boku has spread to Binduri, has spread to Pusga and other districts.
Away from the story, Head of International Relations Department, Wisconsin University, Accra, Dr. Yaugebe, says the announcement by Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso to exit ECOWAS may have led to the decision by the regional body to lift sanctions imposed on Niger. Now, economic sanctions imposed on the Republic of Niger after its summit in Abuja happened yesterday. The country last year deposed its democratically elected leader, Mohamed Bazoum, prompting a drastic response from the ECOWAS, which had declared zero tolerance for unconstitutional changes in government. About a month ago, Niger, together with Mali and Burkina Faso, announced that they were exiting the regional bloc owing to inhumane sanctions. But at an extraordinary summit yesterday in Abuja, Nigeria, ECOWAS says it was lifting all sanctions off Niger, while expecting that established protocols of free movement within the bloc will remain unchanged. Reacting to the development, Head of International Relations Department, Wisconsin University, Dr. Yaugebe, said the actions of the three countries, i.e. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, to exit the bloc might have prompted ECOWAS to make such a decision.
I am on that the recent announcement by the three countries, that's Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, might have prompted the ECOWAS to take that rather rash decision. It is also to have to do with the issue of the integrity of the ECOWAS. We are having 15 countries as members of the ECOWAS, and these crises in the sub-region definitely have affected the position, the activities of the ECOWAS, and therefore necessarily there should be some kind of reaction to those sanctions that have moved the three countries to take that rather unfortunate decision to leave the ECOWAS. So these are actions and reactions from both sides of the pendulum. One on the side of the ECOWAS, the other the position of those three countries.
Now, flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, says the 6 new regions created under the government are existing only in name. According to him, the needed development that should be noticed in the regions are yet to take place. And now speaking at a meeting with the traditional authorities at the Jakpa Palace, John Mahama made a solemn promise to the people of his willingness to ensure development of the new regions. He expressed disappointment in the government refusal to continue the Damongo water project.
Before we left office, we took a loan agreement to Parliament to create a water supply project for Damongo. Our friends opposite opposed it and said that they will be coming into government. They are sure they will win the election. And that when they win, they will come and do the water project. For 8 years now, the people of Damongo are thirsty. You don't have water to drink. What amount of money is better than having your own water supply system that will make sure that you get good water to drink? If you go to the hospital today, the majority of cases are typhoid cases. And that is because of polluted water. If not for Galus, who's brought a water tanker, and is supplying clean drinking water from place to place, most of us would have been in hospital today. It is easy to create a region, but a region must have certain things to be called a region. The 6 regions that were created, they were created just in name. But the things that should go so that when you enter the region, you know this is a region, are still not there. And I can assure you that not only for Savannah region, but for all the 6 newly created regions, if NDC comes into power, the things that you need to be called regions, we will make sure that we provide them.
Now, the Building Ghana top, the NDC aims at taking concerns of the public to feed into the party's manifesto for the upcoming election. The Yagbonra B. Konota Jewu Swale I admonished the former president to stick with dealing with the issues of underdevelopment, poverty, and unemployment among the youth. A speech was read on his behalf.
Your Excellency, you are very much familiar with the problems of the people. I dare say that 3 problems come immediately for mention. The first of them being poverty, general poverty, countrywide poverty, followed by youth unemployment, and finally by underemployment, particularly in the public service. These 3 problems, I beg to state, should be given due attention when you come back to power. As a father, I will entreat you to take very keen interest in bridging the gap that exists between the North and the South when you are given the opportunity once again to occupy the seat of the presidency. It is only when you are able to achieve this that posterity will be kind with you. Your decision should reflect a commitment to social justice and well-being of all citizens. Strive to create an environment where every citizen, regardless of their ethnicity, religion, or gender,
Meanwhile, 2 people have allegedly been hospitalized due to exchange of blows at Busumo between NDC and MPP in Damongo in the Savannah region as John Dramani Mahama arrived for the late Queen Mother's funeral. NDC and MPP Savannah Regional Secretaries recounted to JoyNews what led to the incident.
The advance team had informed us that when the former president got to the scene, they had some altercations with a military man, out of which the warning shots or the gunshots came. As to whether it was between, there was some exchange of the gunshots from the other side, we are not able to tell, but there were gunshots before we arrived there.
Okay.
Then after we arrived, we saw heavily built men who are coming from our neighboring region. They were led by the first vice chairman of the NDC, Azoka. He came there with those Tamale boys. And before our entourage got in, they picked on 2 of our guys and beat them mercilessly. In fact, this was done in the full glare of the public. We thought the security was going to do something about it. Unfortunately, they only rescued the guys after they had beaten them. As we speak now, I had to ask that they take these 2 guys to the hospital.
The entourage of His Excellency, the incoming president, John Dramani Mahama, was coming to the venue of that funeral celebration. That is the Busnu Town Park.
Okay.
from Tamale direction. And from the Tamale direction, you get to the Bushmeat Town Park itself before you get to the community of Bushmeat. But their apparatchiks decided to bring a branded MPP Toyota Hilux pickup, despite that, and came and blocked the way of the former president, his entry. Despite security telling him to move because there is this high-powered delegation which was coming to the first council, he disobeyed, and it caused some uproar because people wanted to spare him.
On a rather sad note, head pastor and 2 other members of the Glorious Pleroma Ministries in Tama were left stranded after the vehicle they were traveling in was gutted by fire. The occupants of the car were returning from Somanya in the eastern region where they officiated a wedding ceremony. There's more in the following report.
A thick smoke billows from the Opel Astra vehicle belonging to the head pastor of the Glorious Pleroma Ministries with 3 people aboard when it caught fire. The people were returning from a wedding ceremony where the pastor served as the officiating minister. About 2 minutes drive from the Strari Junction, an eyewitness account indicated that the vehicle sparked fire without the realization of the occupant of the vehicle. A thick smoke that suddenly billowed from the engine drew their attention, but before they could stop, the whole vehicle was engulfed in flames. They, however, escaped unhurt, but could not salvage anything from the vehicle. For nearly an hour, the stranded commuters looked on helplessly as inferno consumed their property. Peter Kupwalo, a junior pastor with the Glorious Pleroma Ministries who was on board the vehicle, spoke to Joy News.
We were on our way from Somanya, and then all of a sudden somebody shouted that there is fire under our car. And then before we could say Jack, we realized smoke was coming out of the fire. So the moment we stopped, fire engulfed all the cars. So we just had to rush out. So we couldn't pick out anything. Everything just got burnt. This car, the engine was just changed this week. I think the car came back from the fitting shop on Friday. So we bought a new engine and then changed it. So I'll say the engine is in shape. Everything is in shape. So yes, anything is possible. But at this point, we can't. I don't know what to attribute it to.
The cause of the fire has not been ascertained.
Sad one there. But moving on, a non-governmental organization, Hope for Future Generations, has implored the government to make available the human papillomavirus vaccine, HPV, for teenagers. The executive director of HFFG, Mrs. Cecilia Seno, said that the government and donor agencies needed to consider increasing the rate of cervical cancer and facilitate the provision of the vaccines. She was speaking on the sideline of a training workshop in Ho, organized by her outfit on vaccine advocacy for selected queens in the Volta region.
Human papillomavirus is the most common sexually transmitted infection. Only high-risk forms of the virus can progress to cervical cancer. According to the Human Papillomavirus and Related Cancers Fact Sheet 2023, cervical cancer ranks the second most frequent cancer among women in Ghana, with an estimated 2,797 women being diagnosed with the disease. 1,699 died because of the disease. Females between the age of 15 years and above are at risk of developing cervical cancer if not vaccinated. In view of this, the Executive Director of Hope for Future Generations, Ms. Cecilia Seno, entreated the government to add the HPV vaccines to the National Vaccination Program.
Give HPV vaccine to adolescents now. That means that we are preventing them from getting cancer. And so it's important that the government invests a lot into the vaccine so that children, all the youth, all the girls in Ghana will be protected from cervical cancer. We are hoping that by the end of the year, HPV will be part of our EPI program, and that will mean that it will be accessible to people. As it stands now, it's very expensive. I mean, one HPV vaccine, one dose is about $200. How many people can afford that? from
Mama Jitri II of Bli Agoviope, who was part of selected Queen Mothers trained on vaccine advocacy, appealed to the government to ensure the timely release of funds budgeted for vaccines.
Government is not seriously paying the budgetary allocation for the vaccines to be procured, and then also not paying fully for the vaccines. So we are appealing, we the Queen Mothers are really appealing to the government that the children are our future leaders, so that they should help us at least so that the preventable diseases can be eradicated.
The training forms the basis of a 4-year project dubbed Financial Immunization Advocacy Response Project. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News. Oh.
You're still watching JoyNews Prime with me, Carlos Caloni. We take a short break. We'll return with more. Please stay in. Welcome back. Now, IMF has revealed that Ghana has made significant progress with external creditors on restructuring their debt. Now, the country is currently racing against time to close a deal with bilateral and commercial creditors by the end of next month. However, there are concerns there could be some delays. But speaking at a news conference in Washington, D.C., USA, Director of Communications at the IMF, Julie Kozak, noted they are satisfied with the work done with external creditors so far. Now, she, however, added that there is the need to stick to the program reforms and conditions to aid in the recovery of the economy.
Authorities are making good progress on their comprehensive debt restructuring. The domestic debt exchange was completed last year. On January 12th, the government reached agreement in principle with its official bilateral creditors, and Ghana is also engaging with its external private creditors to seek support. Looking ahead, steadfast policy and reform implementation will be needed to fully and durably restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability in Ghana. It will be critical for the government to continue implementing the program as envisaged to ensure sustainable growth and poverty reduction. With respect to some of the questions regarding other developments, I just want to emphasize that the IMF remains fully engaged and supportive of Ghana's efforts under the ongoing program and the debt restructuring negotiations. We have been in continuous dialogue with the Ghanaian authorities, including with the Minister Designate when he served as Minister of State for Finance. And our commitment to assisting Ghana remains steadfast, and we look forward to continuing our fruitful cooperation with the new minister.
Now, Managing Director of Enterprise Insurance, Akosia Ansayentry, is calling on industry players to push for more innovative initiatives to spur growth in the sector. Now, according to her, this is key to drive the growth within the insurance space in Ghana. Now, speaking to Joy Business at the company's centenary anniversary Thanksgiving service, she reiterated the need to increase penetration.
The Thanksgiving service was in commemoration of Business Centennial celebration. Akosia Ansayentry said the move for innovative initiative has become necessary to improve the sector's contribution to gross domestic product, currently hovering around 2%.
We are celebrating all of them. But as we look to the future, as leaders in this industry, it's important that we remain a beacon of security, reliability, and stability for all our stakeholders, because we need to continue to protect that legacy. And so as we go into the futures, we are going to make sure that the interests of our stakeholders are protected. Customer centricity. So we believe the customer is the king. I know every company will say the customer is the king, but for us, the customer is even King Kong. We are willing and ready to listen to the needs of our customers and meet them at that point of need. We are also looking at innovation. I mean, you can't continue to do the same things that we were doing in the past. What worked for us in the past 100 years will not work for us as we go forward.
The anniversary was under the theme Celebrating Our Legacy, Securing Your Future.
Are you excited in the presence of the...
That's all we have. You can log on to myjoyonline.com for more stories. My name is Carlos Caloni. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening.